And welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Brian Elam. I will be your host here on this episode of the Be Successful series at Get Your Entrepreneurship Together. So today is going to be magical, is the word that comes to mind. A magical conversation. I have Rain Zaben here. She is an intuitive, an intuitive psychic, as a matter of fact, which we're going to discover what that is here in a little bit. She's a healer and just all in all, a beautiful soul. I knew it as soon as she popped onto the screen. It's just one of those things you can tell. So I'm really looking forward to getting into how she can help flip that script on the stories you're telling yourself, the identity issues going on, imposter syndrome, all these types of things that entrepreneurs struggle with in order to move forward. So, Rain, thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to have you here.
Oh, Brian, thank you so much. Same thing. I popped in, I saw your energy, I looked at your eyes. I'm like, oh, what is going on here? Who is this being? It's rare. Honestly, it's really rare to meet someone of your essence because you're like it's a magnitude of kindness. It's not even just it's a kindness. Like if anything, your thing is I am kindness. Like that's
Uh,
that's that's the description, and it was so nice to just feel you. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm so happy that we're vibing here like this. And so let's just jump right in because I've got to know. Obviously, we have a lot of people have an idea about what a psychic is, but what is an intuitive psychic? Like, what does that mean?
Well, an intuitive psychic. So the thing is, an intuitive psychic means so a psychic, basically, from how we understand it, is somebody who sees your future, sees where you're heading, um, and sees something further and beyond what you see. An intuitive psychic, for me personally, is something more attuned. I can see who you are right now. I can see who you were, and I can see the potential of where you might go according to who you are today. But an intuitive, it's like it's not only being able to see, but it's being able to hear and it's being able to feel. And it's kind of like being able to merge with the person in front of you. It's like an energy merging with the person. So that was, yeah, a title I used for myself. It was very hard to find myself a title because I kept feeling that I can't find anyone who does what I do, and I needed to define myself to some degree.
Yeah, we all have that wanting to define something that we're unfamiliar with or unsure of. Yeah, that's just the human trait right there. So speaking of figuring this thing out and trying to define, where you fit in just a category or a category of one, so to speak,
Mhm.
how did you how did you discover these gifts? Like, and when did they start developing for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I believe that these gifts I was born with because I come from my mother's lineage are healers and psychics, and they move objects with their minds and they have dreams. It's like just a whole world of mystics. And so my grandma was like that. Now I lived in 15 different countries, but she would come and visit us at least twice a year and stay with us wherever we were for 2 months. So I got to experience her a lot. And so from my grandmother, I would see how anyone would come, like they can't find their sibling or their parent, and she would find them and be like, well, they're here and they're there, or objects. The weather people would call her and be like, what's the weather like? And if there's like dark entities in the room, she would know how to get rid of them. And if someone was paralyzed, she would heal them, or any disease of any kind. And she was cute. She was white with white hair and pudgy and adorable. Like you wouldn't think she was that powerful with how she looked. But to me, she was like extraordinary. So I would watch her do all this stuff and tell me that she can't heal herself. Like she could do this for everyone but herself. Like this was the rule. And but at the same time, I was seeing like dark, shadowy entities. I would hear footsteps in the rooms when there's no one there, or like pots and pans in the kitchen, and I would run down thinking a parent is there to only open the door and get terrified that no one was there. So I would hear things and see things and feel things, but I was a scaredy cat. I mean, I was scared of my own shadow. I would be too scared to even go to the bathroom without waking up my brother and sister who are younger than me to stand in the tub while I used the toilet because I was so scared to be alone because I would be terrified of these things showing up. So my grandma would come and she'd clear the room and do all that. So I'd watch her. But I think what terrified me the most, Brian, was the fact that she couldn't help herself. So she'd take all this on and she'd be exhausted after. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So in time, as I tried to get away from these gifts because they were scary, but I also loved them. Um, at some point, I kind of decided I'm totally done with this. I don't want to be scared. I can't explain to you how scared I was. I lived in fear. So
I could only imagine. Like I've had thoughts like what would ever happen to me and my brain if I were to ever see a ghost or a spirit, you know? I can't imagine because I've been around them. I've experienced them, felt their energy. I've had one walk through me, which was like, woo, makes your hair stand up. But to be able to either in your mind's eye or physically see them, I don't know how I could process that. Yeah.
no, no, you don't. You don't. Like I used to just freeze in bed because the bed would move. It would feel like someone's sitting next to me.
Oh,
And
nope. No, thank you.
no, no, it was terrible. It was terrible. And then something really interesting happened, which is at the late, like all of this kind of subsided a little bit or came to a stop when I got married the first time, which was I was like 27. I was 27 years old and I married a malignant narcissist, which I didn't know existed. Like I didn't know. I only thought Scary World was the thing I was seeing. I didn't know Scary World was in human form. And when that happened, all that stopped, which was very interesting.
Hmm.
And I think this was like it came into form or something. So I had to heal through the narcissism and I dealt with that. And it was that that shifted my career into being to taking my gifts seriously. So when that happened, so the greatest shift was marrying a narcissist and not being scared to name it as narcissism because there's the whole don't judge people and I'm like no, I can name that because that was my personal experience. And then from there on, I started to have to heal myself from the get-go, start all over again from scratch, but with a new identity. And so I wasn't as scared of the darkness and that world because I lived in terrible fear with a human. And so something shifted. Something happened.
Absolutely. And so
Yeah.
when you went through that experience and the darkness kind of manifested in real life in that relationship, um, how did you end up healing yourself when your grandmother couldn't heal herself?
Well, neuro-linguistic programming. I went to everyone and everything under the sun because I was suicidal. My first book is about it. I was ready to commit suicide. I was living in Dubai at the time and I wanted to jump off of the tallest building possible. And I was because I didn't know, I didn't understand my whole world. I was such a joyous child. My whole world was upside down. I felt unlovable. I felt unworthy. I felt disgusting and ugly and everything you could possibly imagine. And to top it off, all my friends disappeared. So people weren't there for me. So it was like this, the loneliest, worst possible experience. And the only thing that made sense was neurolinguistic programming. When I met a practitioner and she went into my subconscious and my conscious mind and she started to shift neurons, reconnect neurons. So it left the woo woo world and went into this being, this human part of me, the body that was traumatized that needed to reacclimate so I can bring myself back. So it was less of working with, I couldn't do Reiki for anyone anymore, which I used to do as a hobby for everybody. I couldn't do anything anymore. And I needed this to be shifted, this to be rewired for me to feel a little bit worthy when I saw that, I jumped into a career to help person in the world. Uh, and then as I started to do that, it took 3 years for me to heal from, it was an 8 month marriage. It took me 3 years to get over to like work it through. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just like my thinking goes to heroin actually for whatever reason. You do that stuff like one or two times and you're hooked, and then you're on the hook for however long it takes, to get clean. And it could be years, like you were saying. It's a crazy thing how some things can hook into you so deep and so quickly. It's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And it's interesting because I'd always expected the light that would hook in so much faster,
Mm,
right? But then it dawned on me that the darkness hooked in so fast because it was inside of me. These dark aspects, yes, I did believe I'm unworthy, but I didn't think to that degree. But there were parts
mm,
of it inside of me, right? And it was like for me, the narcissist came, like I call them the dark angels, because he came and he put a spotlight on all my shadow, and then he dressed them up and just spoke them loudly to me,
mm,
you know? And so I had to face what was embedded inside of me that didn't allow me to truly feel the joy that I thought I had always felt. Or, there was always this underlying state of sadness inside that I wasn't aware of, or this
um,
lingering depression. But they come there and they really slap you silly. So, so I woke up to my truth. I went and started shifted career. I was an interior designer, shifted careers, and then slowly my gifts started to show themselves again, but not in the same way. So I wasn't seeing dark entities anymore, and I wasn't feeling someone walking behind me and whispering in my ear or trying to touch my back and like a horror movie. But somehow I had I had strength. Like if I would feel it and I'd just be like, go away, I'm not in the mood, instead of like shriveling up. And then it kind of just stopped, I think, when I discovered that, oh my God, I've been so traumatized in life. Like you can't even traumatize me after what I've been through. Right. And I kind of found my strength with, so I'm so grateful for my first narc. Very, very grateful. And then the gifts started to show themselves very differently. I started to trust myself a lot more. So when I would hear what I heard, see what I see, I would trust it. And I wouldn't be like, oh, it's not true, or, and how we were talking before, like you were sharing so beautifully how people would come speak to you and share the deepest thing. That was happening to me my whole life. Um, and I didn't know where to go with them with it. They would feel better. They would leave and feel all skippy doo and happy. I was like, okay, this is great. But I think I was taking on what they would leave behind.
oh yes. Yep.
Yes. How
Yep.
did that feel the same way for you?
Um, no, but I'm relating to it as a massage therapist because when I went to school for that, we had to do what's known as clinicals. We had to work on the public for a certain amount of hours in order to be able to qualify for our certifications. And man, I tell you what, those first couple months of doing that, I would go home every day after clinicals and I would be drained. Sometimes I would have headaches. And I just finally made the realization that I am taking in these people's energy. I'm absorbing all of their blech that they came to get out. And so I'm like, all right, I need to stop this if I want to make a career out of this thing. And I finally just figured, just on an energetic level, nobody told me how to do it. I just figured it out how to, I'm here, you're here, and that's that.
Yeah, yeah. It's more like a commanding kind of master, right? Like, no, enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, once I figured that out, it stopped. But yeah, it's so true. It doesn't even matter like if it's just energetically or if it's verbally or whatever it is that you're struggling with, if you're getting bad feedback from your customers, if you're the people aren't coming to your website as much as you like, or not showing up to your events for whatever you're trying to promote for your business, you you have to look at it, but you don't have to take it all in. You don't have
Mm.
to absorb all that. And even if you do, it's not necessarily what it's saying about you is anything truthful. That's just up here messing with you and saying you're not worthy, nobody likes you, your product sucks, whatever. Like that's not the case. It's not reality. Would you agree with that?
Oh my God, 100%. 100%, 1,000,000%, Brian. Yes, it's all the limiting beliefs within. Like that's what I studied in NLP, which went perfectly with all the energy work. So, like when I was seeing clients and I would do Reiki on them or even friends, they would come back. They'd feel great, be like, oh my God, I'm rejuvenated. But then they come back. And after understanding that, well, their beliefs continue, they continue believing what they believe. So the ailment and the thing will always come back. Even if I energetically release it, they know how to bring it back because of their thoughts. Like what you're saying, the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The thoughts will energetically. So it's great to see energy healers. They are great. And it's also even better when one is able to shift the language within, release the limiting beliefs. Like I've been recently, it's been hitting me. It's been like 3 years that I'm like, this whole healing journey, there's something happening in the spiritual world that is becoming very 3D again, that is becoming hierarchical. It's becoming very structured for spirituality. In a sense of it's feeling a little weird. And so a lot of the lingo doesn't resonate with me because I'm like, oh, we're trapping people again. We're doing the whole, this is a spiritual awakening. That's what it looks like. And then from here, you go here. And from here, you go here. And then to reach 4D, you got to do this. And if you reach 5D, and it's again in a very linear, structured kind of thing, and all the language is being used in that way. And I'm like, see, so I feel the thing that shifted is I start to feel things from a very different realm. This is what happens. That's why I can't give it a name because I don't know what this is, but I will hear people speak and I will know like, oh, you know, they're falling back into a pattern. It's the same pattern that just a new word or a new language, or now the pattern of how to do corporate business and they've moved it into their spiritual awakening, or they've moved it into, oh, healing, right? But it's the same concept in a sense, just made more floofy. Um, or given some woo-woo thing, sparkles on it, which is still like this is how we all do it. So I was like, I don't want to call it healing anymore. I've been on the healing journey forever. It's exhausting. It doesn't end. It's endless. It's endless, and the more you heal, the more it's a wormhole. It doesn't end. It's like
Right.
the more you want to discover about the earth and the universe, you'll keep discovering more planets, more systems, more molecules, more. It's just endless. So I'm like, there's something going on in this world. Something off is happening. Um, Stop digging to heal. And let's stop using the word heal because heal feels like I'm broken, something's still off, I can't still be me. But it's really self discovery because as you use the word self discovery, just think about it, see how your body feels. Oh, I'm self discovering. Doesn't mean anything about you, doesn't mean you're bad or you're good. It's so neutral. And it's not like you have to fix it to get the thing, but it's just I'm self-discovering, meaning I found me and I'm finding more and more of me. So you're growing. Healing feels like I want to fix me somehow.
Yeah, like I've got this
Right.
problem. I've got this problem, this situation, this disease that I need to get out of me. I need to heal from it. Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying with that. And I do. I see this because again, like we were talking before, I think even before we hit the record button, that humans, we just like to put things in boxes and we like to define what it is, what it's not. And yeah, with the spiritual nature, the woo-woo world, if you will, getting more out there and being incorporated into quote unquote regular life, here we go. People are going to try to systematize it. And that's not, again, it's not necessarily how it works. I've seen this in the coaching space so many times. Not every coaching program is going to be for you. Not every coach that runs a program really knows how to teach. So to try to shove people and things in boxes all the time, it's just not the best solution. It's really not.
No, it isn't, because I've been getting so many clients and they're like, I don't know how my intuition works. I don't know how my intuition works. And my friend says this, and I've heard this on YouTube. And so I sit with them and I hear deeply what their thing is. So I'm like, well, this is how you do it. It's very specific. So I can't just generalize and say, well, you do it this way and you do it that way. But whenever the specific person shows up and they're like, I just don't know how I do it. And after we speak a little, I can see how they do it because they're doing it. And it's just bringing their attention to it. Now, what I've noticed is that because there's a certain way to be called intuitive, which is either clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant, or claircognizant, which is one of the workshops I teach. But within that, there's a whole dimension of worlds. So you'll be like, well, the mediums hear from their left ear and hear spirit from their right ear. But I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing anything, right? But what is intuition then? Can I trust myself? And it's this huge battle because now even intuition has been boxed in, they've been given names. When something is named and structured, then the human mind now wants to understand it because it's been given a name. And then the human mind needs to put it in a category. But if you can't name it or give it much of a structure, you just have like a blurry idea, okay, then the mind is also blurry with it, which opens up the space to hear. So most people, or a lot of people, their intuition sounds like their own voice. Okay. They just don't know that. They're thinking, well, my own voice is very egoic. What they don't understand is that it is your own voice. It really is your own voice because it's your higher self intuiting to you. So it's going to have to sound like you, because if it doesn't sound like you, it's going to freak you out. Like if one day you're sitting down and then you hear, if I hear like a male voice, which I did, I heard from the outside of my ear at one point, but if every day inside of me, I'd hear, hey, Rain, this is where you got to go, I'll freak out. I'll be like, who the hell is that? Am I crazy?
Oh my goodness.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to be able to listen to yourself. And I like how Spirit has just programmed that already to be like, okay, let's make this sound like them so they don't just go crazy. That's probably a good idea. All
yeah,
right.
freak
So
them out a
obvious,
little.
yeah, yeah, it could just a little bit. So obviously, this channel is all about entrepreneurship, helping those folks that are running businesses, small, medium, large, all that kind of good stuff. But one of the things that people struggle with all the time, no matter what level that you're at, is decision making. Decision making is absolutely critical for business. And my opinion is the quicker you can make a decision, the better off that you're going to be because you can hit the ground running, you can stay lean, stay fast, and just go. So, talking about intuition and learning how to listen and trust it, can you give us some guidance in the realm of decision making on how to start that process and know, or at least have a pretty good idea that we're going in the right direction?
Such a gorgeous question, Brian. I don't think I've ever been asked that question. How fabulous. Let's see. Well, intuition at first is like a whisper. Okay. So if you're waiting for intuition with your business, it's a gentle whisper at the very beginning. And then the mental mind comes in and starts to argue. If you can remember that very gentle mental whisper, it's an inner whisper. You're like, and there's a kind of not excitement. You're not going to like start to, jump around in circles, but it's like you're just going to feel like an openness, a very slight openness inside of you, like, what an idea. That's the one to follow. That's the one that you don't sit and wait. I'm not saying to rush into it, but write it down and have it concretely there. And then let your mind run with all the doubts it wants to, the self sabotages, but it's written down because it's so hard to grab onto it again. Because once the mind comes in, it's really loud.
Yes,
So sometimes you're just going to write it down, keep it, get your phone and record it.
I do that all the time,
You
all
do,
the
eh?
time.
Just so you can have it to refer back once you go through all the mental jabber and your own limitations and the shadow shows up and then you're like, wait, what was that idea again? But at least it's written down somewhere. You can look at it and you'll feel the lightness. So decision making when it comes to intuition, and it's not a hit and miss, anything that you feel to be true, you have nothing to lose by trying it out. Nothing to, because I know that's what I struggled with for a very long time is the whole, oh my God, but what if it's not the thing? I'm going to exert so much energy and time and ignore friends and family, and that's the fear, right? So there's the fear of the consequences of it being wrong, right? It's the fear, it's not even the fear of the thing, it's the fear that you're actually afraid, we're afraid of the consequence of a wrong decision. So people spend so much time with, was it intuitive or was it my mind? I don't know. It doesn't even matter. Even if it was your mind and it made you feel a little nice, it made you feel a little good, it expanded a little bit, and you're like, what a great idea. Let's say it's mental and egoic. Who cares? Do it. Try it out. Don't put your whole entire world into it. Try it out. Just try it out. Write that website or start writing it. If it's a book, if you want to do that thing or whatever it is, open that business. Try it out and see when you're doing it. Do you feel absorbed in it? Are you excited while you're doing it? Are you also stressed but excited? It's not, you're not always going to be happy. Like that doesn't happen. You're not always going to be like, wow, but you're going to feel angry and sad and stressed and all this, but there's an underlying current of, oh my God, that's the underlying current. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing this.
It's the possibilities.
Yes. Oh, I love
Yes.
that. It is the possibilities. So decision making in that sense of just go for it. If it's not meant for you, you will lose interest really fast. You'll feel burnt out. It's going to die. And if it's meant for you, then that's the way to go. And don't be afraid. Sometimes, you know, it's the consequence of fear. Always remember, oh my God, it's the consequence of fear. It's not even fear itself. It's the consequence.
Right. Fear is just an emotion. Fear is just
Yes.
it's a fleeting energy. It's not that's not even a risk. Like feeling that is not a risk. Taking that chance, starting that business, writing that book, whatever, is that a risk? Yeah, it is, especially if you throw yourself into it 100%. But
Yeah.
if you're just like you said, testing the waters to see how it feels and doing that, then it's not as big of a risk as, whatever's going on in the brain makes you think that it is.
Yeah,
So,
because it's the same thing with food. I mean, if somebody says, well, try this dish, you're like, no, I don't do it. Or, oh my God, this is going to be the dish for the rest of my life, and you haven't tasted it, right? Like, just taste it. You may say no, or like you're about to cook something. It's going to take effort and time. But and you're gonna be like, you know what? This totally sucked. I'll never do this again.
yeah,
Very
been
simple.
there. We've all
Yeah,
been
yeah,
there.
we've all been there.
Yeah, finding some recipes on the internet and you cook it up and you're all excited and then you taste it and you're just like, this was this was not a keeper. No. Yeah. And my mind goes to another thing is fish sauce. I don't know if you've had any experience with fish sauce at all, but it is one of the most vile smelling substances. I mean, you could just imagine from the name itself, fish sauce, like if you squeeze a fish, like that comes out. Ugh,
Ew.
it smells terrible. But I tell you what, you put that in food and it makes the food just explode with flavor. It's
Really?
crazy. It's crazy.
Fish sauce. I'm going to write that down. I
But you
never
got to
even
get,
heard of it.
yeah,
Fish
yeah, you got
sauce.
to get past the smell.
Okay.
But anyways, so talking about decision making and understanding it's that whisper of a voice that makes the difference in what you want to pay attention to, the whisper that opens the possibilities. That's a beautiful example. I really appreciate you sharing that. And now you make the decision, but then comes belief. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that it's possible, believe that somebody wants it, whatever it is. You've got to have belief, but mostly in yourself. And I know
Mhm.
that you talk about this in what you do and focus on it a little bit about how to, let's see, how did you phrase it? To start believing in ourselves like never before.
Mhm.
How do we do that?
Oh, most of the world has such a darkness about trusting self, or trusting truth, actually, their own truth. So how do you believe in you to believe in something outside of you, you must believe in something inside of you. So I could believe that my project is going to be amazing, but I don't believe in myself. But the project is a projection of me. And so it will vibrate energetically with me. So if the part of me is hesitant about who I am and my worth, then the project I'm projecting forward is going to be hesitant about its worth also. So it's like my child, for example. So when it comes to um, believing in self, this is where all the limiting beliefs live. And this is what we're all purging now in the planet. This being able to trust self, because our parents' generation and the generation before didn't understand how important it is to let the child feel that they're seen, they're heard, they're appreciated. So it was a completely different upbringing, a completely different generation. They suffered deeply, but we suffered a lot. And our generation, I feel, is like in the middle of hell. We went through because we're like in the cusp of like awakening, and then there's like this whole we've got so much to purge.
Oh my God, you are so right. I'm just standing here shaking my head going, yep, uh-huh, right, right. Goosebumps, yep.
Yes. So we've got it really. I know every generation believes so, but I know, like a knowing that our generation really has it tough because we've got the sweet world of the 4D and the intuition and and it's collective now, right? We're all tasting and how to trust ourselves and how all this, it's there. We can see it. We can't seem to grab it because we've got the other world that is so dense and don't trust yourself, and everyone else knows better than you, and the schooling system, you're an A and someone else is a B, and you have to challenge and compare, and your brother's better than you, and look at how this is the upbringing, right? So it's like we're trying to shed that completely off because we're seeing the potential possibility of like, oh my God, what is it like if I trust myself? What does that taste like? And then we try it out and then we shrink back in fear, right? Because that's a comfort zone. Generations have felt this way. This is so comfortable. This is no generation has faced what we're facing. So we don't have we have a buffer when it comes to that buffer, like you're falling back on generations that have felt like this. So it's really easy to get sad and self-doubt. That was my biggest journey, was going from self-doubt to trust. And it's that doubt that feels good. It feels really nice to wallow in. It feels comforting, right? You're used to hearing all the terrible voices in your head, and it just feels good.
Isn't that just so crazy that all of that strife feels good and comfortable, like a warm blanket of lead that weighs 500 pounds on your face? It's so warm and comfy, isn't it? It's lovely.
Right? So it's like, when you're sad, you want to stay there. You want to stay there because there's something really comfortable about it, and you try to fight against it. That's the fun part. You're like, now fighting against it. So even this war is interesting, right? It's very familiar, right? You're always fighting against the school or fighting against someone or your parents. That is also still familiar, right? So even the fight within of, no, I'm supposed to be in the light now, and this, I need to go here. But here, the argument is so cool, right? I know this. I know how to be sad. I know how to be depressed. I know how to fight against it. I know how to rebel, but I don't know how to be ease. And I don't know how to just trust and have faith in the unknown. And this is where we're all heading. And it is exhausting. Why? It's exhausting to trust and believe in the project or in yourself because it's scary as hell, because we've never tasted it. Neither have our ancestors. So we can't even use backup the DNA memories in us. We can't even use our backup memories to say, go ahead, jump off the cliff,
Hmm.
right? Trust in just trusting yourself. Trust that it's okay to trust yourself. Trust that it's okay to trust life. Trust that it's okay to trust source. It's terrifying. So we are going through a lot, and nobody, and I don't think anyone's that aware of it. So if you can't trust yourself so far, that's so okay. The fact that you even want to, praise yourself for it. Love yourself that you even want to. And if you feel hopelessly that you can't, love yourself then too, because you're doing it alone. You're fighting against the current of all generations before. So that's okay. Live in doubt. You know what? I always say this to everyone, my clients, everyone, even my kids. I'm like, I'm allowed to doubt. I can doubt it. It's okay. And I can do it anyway. I can doubt myself and do this anyway. Even to the degree of I'm allowed to doubt myself and still trust myself. It doesn't make any sense, but it works because I have permission to be both right now.
Yeah, because when you doubt yourself, but you also trust yourself, the thing that you're doubting is not you. It's whatever you're putting your focus on. And like we were talking earlier, the reaction from it. So that's the thing that you're doubting. But yeah, it's not actually you, it's that thing. And you can still trust yourself that you are a good person. You have the best intentions in mind. You're trying to do something good for society or the planet or whatever that you're doing in business. Yeah, it you can have that duality. I think that's very important to point out.
Yes, yes, because it really hurts when you're fighting against yourself so much. And maybe yourself at this moment is feeling doubtful. And that's okay. Myself could feel doubtful about my business, about my growth. Oh my God, nobody's showing up. Oh my God, I can't do this. Everyone else is doing it but me. Everyone else did it in 3 seconds and mine is taking 10 years. Goodness
Yep.
God, I've gone through that, right? Like it seems that everybody does it like this, but me.
Hmm.
Even that doubtful version of you, it's allowed to exist. It's allowed to express itself, and it's allowed to be there without being like, no, I shouldn't think this way because then I can't manifest it. There's something wrong with me. I should feel complete and utter trust. Well, you're not. You're not right now, and that's okay. Can you make peace with the fact that you're not? Love that version of you that's showing up, that's never been loved, and just be like, you know what? Doubt. Please continue to doubt. I will love you anyway, and I will trust on your behalf. You do you, this self of mine, doubt your business. It's okay. I mean, how many people in the world have doubted their business and are trillionaires today? It
Exactly.
really had nothing to do with that.
No, no, most businesses that are successful, they've had more failures or things go awry than successes. And any CEO or owner of a company, entrepreneur that's, made it, quote unquote, they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah. So it's okay to doubt yourself. It's really, really okay because that's your humanness. And then your being version, like I like to see two parts of me. My being version is the one that's now mothering me, taking care of me, telling me all the kind words that I've always wanted to hear, which is, you know what, sweetheart, you can doubt yourself as much as you like. I love you anyway. I'm here for you. And let's do this together. You stay in doubt. Oh, you're scared? Be scared. That's okay. You're allowed to be scared. Don't conquer your fear because now you're going to go into war. I don't need to conquer my doubt or conquer my fear. Just be with it. So what if it's there? Who cares? It's not the end of the world.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
you made the statement of doing this together. And I know that, you are running workshops and you're doing collaborative work with people to help bring this out and get this process started in them. I almost said healing, but I stopped myself. So when you're doing these workshops and connecting with people like this, is this in a virtual setting or is this live and in person?
Both. So I'm doing virtual and I'm doing in person. I started in person like 3, 4 months ago, so I'm still picking it up in person. I just really needed to see humans in person. Like I needed to hug, I needed to sense, I needed to interact, like it was mainly for me. I was like, you know what? I need people. Can't only be virtual and online anymore. But I have a lot online, lots of clients internationally online, mainly, but yeah, both.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because as right as we connected and you took a look at me with those magical eyes of yours, I was just, okay, she can do it. She can do it virtually. So if you need assistance, if you're ready to start trusting yourself to get this imposter syndrome really kicked out, you had some good tips in here today. So go back and rewind this episode and listen to the whole thing again, and you'll pick up little nuggets here and there about things you can start paying attention to. It's all there. So, Rain, where can people find you, connect with you, and just get into your world?
Oh, my world. Facebook, just Rain Zaben at Facebook, Instagram. I do little shorts there also. I have a YouTube channel, and basically people can get in touch with me by my through my email. They can look at my website. I'm just restructuring it again, but they can get a hold of me through my website, send me an email, get in touch with me in any form. I'm
Okay.
totally available. Hmm.
Perfect. Well, all of those links are going to be below, guys. So follow her on social, check out the website, and if you think that you're feeling called to be a client of Rain, then that's the intuition. That's what you need to pay attention to, because this is a very gifted woman who can help you level up yourself, level up your business, and just really enjoy life. So, Rain, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I knew it. It's a magical conversation, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much for coming on.
Brian, God, thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bless
Well,
you, bless your audience, bless your work. May you blossom. May you bring more and more people into the light, help them see themselves, and you're wonderful. Thank you.
well, thank you so much for those very kind words. All right, guys, you know what to do. Like the show, share the show out with your friends. You never know who in your network you can positively impact by sharing great content like you have just seen or heard. So, thank you very much for your time and attention, and peace. I will see you in the next one.